For over 2 decades, we focused on one philosophy, the 10 life values, a system that helps us examine our lives, our vision, our leadership. Our products and our services are exclusively for men, all men. The ones who teach and mentor our kids, maintain our livestock and grow our food, make and repair our products, saves us from catastrophe, and protect our nation. The 10 life values are woven into every product and service we create. Because at the end of the day, our vision is to see all men from every community equipped with the appropriate processes and the necessary tools to be excellent fathers and the best version of themselves they can be.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hi everybody. Thank you, Nora, for kicking off the sponsorship of the show. I really appreciate it, sweetheart. Thank you so much. I thought that this was a very necessary topic, considering the video that I did earlier today, talking about prenups, talking about marriage, talking about, I even threw in a little Islamic law just to sort of demonstrate my personal take. I'm not necessarily here to argue for or against or really argue it at all, I guess. But I think that this is a topic that needs to be talked about, because we often talk about marriage from the sense and from the standpoint that you're not married unless it's through the state. With a show of hands, put a 1 if that's how you feel, that a marriage is not valid unless you have a state sanctioned marriage license. Put a 2 if you feel like marriage can be validated otherwise. I just want to get a feel for the room. Hey, third ward. I just want to get a feel for the room. Again, there's no right or wrong answers, because my take and everybody's takes are different. Okay, lots of 2s. Zen's got a 3. What's the 3 for? I'd like to know what the 3 is about. I see a couple of 1s. I see mostly 2s. Okay. So for those of us, it would seem as though most of us consider marriage to be something spiritual, not religious, spiritual. Would that be a correct take? Thank you, Mogul. Would that be a correct take? That marriage is considered by most people, at least in this chat, to be something spiritual. When I say spiritual, let me define some of the stuff I'm talking about. When I say spiritual, I don't mean religious sanction. I mean something that happens in the hearts of the 2 people involved. Hey, Miss Lucky. That's what I mean by spiritual. It's something that happens in the emotional connection between the 2 people. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Everybody knows, obviously, I'm Muslim. And I basically live my life according to Sharia. Okay? Sharia, for those of you who don't know, Sharia is law, or it is Islamic law. Okay? It is the law that governs Muslims. And Sharia law, technically speaking, governs Muslims on a personal level. It governs Muslims on a communal level, and it governs Muslims on a governmental level. So in an ideal Islamic state, which does not exist, by the way, in an ideal Islamic state, there is no separation of quote unquote church and state, because the law that is created in the constitution of such a country would be based in Sharia law, unable to contradict it. The Muslims here would agree. I'm giving some of the ground rules, or some of the, and I'm sort of giving my take a little bit too, but I'm not trying to sway anybody else's take at the same time. So I would just like to put that out there. An ideal Muslim state actually doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. There are Muslim countries, And most of the laws there kind of sort of go along with Sharia. But thank you, Miss Lucasely, that the actual Islamic State does not exist, because right now we don't have a Khalifa, but that's a completely different topic. So now let's get into the legal in terms of having to go through the state to get a document that tells you you're married. Now, see, a lot of people just kind of agree with that you have to have that piece of paper, that the connection emotionally, even a ceremony, the family's agreement, none of that constitutes a marriage between the people. Only the state, only through the state, this state, the United States of America. I am excluding every other country because I don't live in those countries and I do not know what those laws entail. But the reason why I'm focusing on state-sanctioned marriage in the United States is because here's the deal. Has the state-sanctioned marriage secured marriage? And everybody give their opinion. Type it in the chat. Do you think so? Has the state-sanctioned marriage, we saying you can't get married or you're not married or nothing that you're doing as you live as a couple, have children, live together, combine finances, combine, you know what I'm saying, your life with another person, it is invalid unless you get a paper of any one of the 50 states to tell you that it's valid. Has that secured or added any stability to marriages? Okay. So if most of us can agree that the state-sanctioned marriage has not added stability to couples, to households, to families being together, if that has not added stability to that, why do we not consider ourselves married unless the state is involved with it? Because when we think about the entire family court system, when we think about the entire system, before I get into that, which value system is this country running on? And if you've been a sub of mine for any considerable length of time, you know the answer to this question. Which value system is this country based in and rooted in, and its law rooted in? Right. Lost value system. And when we take a look at the lost value system, what's at the top? Wealth. What's near the bottom? What's near the bottom? Spiritual is at the bottom. Family is third from it. Just third from it. No loving support. There's no support in the lost value system for a family. In the middle of this, it says who we are connected to and have a relationship with. That's your family. Who we're connected to and who we have a relationship with is your family. In my personal opinion, that relationship, those relationships, the people you consider to be your family, whether this is romantic relationship, platonic relationship, whatever the case may be, if a person considers another person part of their family, in my personal opinion, the state don't have nothing to do with that. Not in the United States, it don't. And this conversation obviously is sparked from the video that I did earlier, and we were talking about prenups, and we were talking about people feeling a need to protect themselves and things like that according to the state. Let's go into protecting themselves, because see, what you'll notice is that there is more argument from women pro-marriage to the state, to the state, than it is men pro-marriage to the state. And there's a reason for that. You'll hear more women talk about, well, we're not married until we go down to the city clerk's office or city hall or whatever to get that piece of paper to say we are married. Other than that, we're not married. Him coming in, giving you 4 Ps, having kids, raising them, none of that means that you're married according to the majority of women in this country. And the reason why you see it that way is because of the way the law is set up. It's set up supposedly as a safety net if the marriage doesn't work out. So the way it was set up was like, well, we got these things in motion. We're going to put and document who got married as a safety net for women. That you're not going to be in a situation where you're just kind of booty out. If this relationship don't work, he could just kind of throw you out on your ear, right? And you'll be just destitute or whatever. Sounds good. I'm all for not throwing somebody out on their ear, right? I'm all for not throwing somebody out on your ear, right? But then the law evolved. It didn't just stay where, okay, you can't just, if there are kids involved, you can't just put the kids out, blah, blah, blah. It evolved. It went into, if he divorced you or you divorce him, don't matter who initiate the divorce or why. You can get, if he's got money, you can get half of that, right? You can get half of that, right? And if you got kids, we're not going to make you give them to him because the children are his financial responsibility. You take the kids because you're quote unquote default the better parent. And we're going to make him pay you for the rest of them kids' life, at least until they 18. Also, you can get alimony. In some states, you get it unless and until you get married again to another man. Let me back it up. I'm going to back this conversation up. Because here's the thing. Let's talk a tad bit about the so-called spiritual marriage. When we talk about an Islamic marriage or even a Christian-based marriage, right? We like to assume that there is no contract in that marriage. And there is, especially Islamic one. We got a contract. It's just not with the state. I had a marriage contract. It was just between me, him. It had my signature. It had his signature. And it had 2 witnesses on there. There's a contract. And you can put what you want to put in that contract as long as it's halal. As long as it don't contravene or contradict Sharia. And you both agree to the terms inside of that contract, it's a valid contract. It's a valid Islamic contract. Thank you, Dr. Sherry. So I know couples that created marriage covenants, got them signed by lawyers and spiritual leaders, filed in the local courthouse to ensure benefits transferred at death. County validated them. No government over it or their children. Exactly. And that's the next point. That's the next point I'm going to get to. Because there is a contract in Islamic marriage. In point of fact, marriage is like any other agreement in Islam. You have a contract signed by people. So there has to be some recognition in the community for 2 people being married Islamically. You can't just roll up and he like me and I like him, so we married. No. There's the nikah, which is the actual ceremony. It's things in place that's got to be done to actually solidify the fact that you got married. Islamically, I'm talking about. So a mahr, the dowry, has to be given from the husband to the wife according to his means. It can't be outrageous and all that craziness. The simpler, the better. And it's something physical that he gives. It's something of value that he gives to his wife as a gift. Technically speaking, the marriage is not valid until that happened. That's why she should ask for something he can immediately give her. Two witnesses, 2 males or 1 male, 2 females have to witness. The imam or some learned person has to officiate. The families know about it. And the community stands witness to the fact that these people got married. So there is an official set of things that actually have to take place for 2 Muslims to be married. rolling up talking about assalamu alaikum, sister. Wa alaikum assalam, brother. You know, and y'all married? No. A father can hand her over into marriage if she has a father available. If there are no, I'm getting too far into the weeds, but if there is no father available, there's someone called a wali who stands in place of that for her. And he's actually technically the one dealing with the soon-to-be husband. He helped negotiate the marriage contract and all of that. So I wanted to back it up, not to get into Islamic law, but in order to say that just because there is no marriage to the state doesn't mean that there's no contract and no official actions between two people that are quote unquote in a spiritual marriage. And the reason I'm saying that is because we like to throw that, or some people like to throw the spiritual marriage around like it's trash. Like two people just the quote unquote shacking up. And it's not the same at all. Right? It's not the same. There is a commitment and a contract made that both parties agree to. I'm driving the point home because that's a lot of times what get us caught up in the state gotta sanction it. Because in our minds, things are not official, things are not legit, things are not verifiable if the courthouse and big boy government don't say it is. See, a lot of times for us, we don't think we can do nothing without him over our shoulder making sure it's okay. It's a separation of church and state for everything but a marriage. Thank you, Kashinsi. See, we kind of all agreed that the marriage itself actually happens emotionally between the two people. Before, even if you are a strong proponent of going down to the courthouse and getting a marriage license issued through the state. Thank you, too late now. Even if you're a strong proponent of that, you still have to agree that the marriage itself is something that happens before you get to that place, because what happened in that man's heart to make him drop to that knee and propose to you? He didn't go to the courthouse before he proposed. See, the relationship was all right. It was going just fine until we got the state involved with it. He wasn't at the courthouse. He didn't call nobody. He didn't, you know what I'm saying, get in touch with the city clerk before he thought of a beautiful way to propose to you. Before he went and spent money on a ring. Before he told his boys he was going to do it. And if you was real traditional, he didn't consult the courthouse before he asked your daddy. And then the beautiful day or night came about, And you remember the day, the moment, what you were wearing, what he was wearing, what he said, whether it was raining that day or whatever the case. You remember each detail of his proposal. He got down on the knee. He presented you with the ring. All of that. Told you how much he loved you. Told you he didn't want to spend his life without you. Whatever he said. Whatever he said to you. And he presented a ring to you. And you said yes. Before you said yes, you didn't contact nobody either. You didn't say, man, before I give you an answer, let me call the city clerk and see, can I say yes to you? So even if you are a strong proponent of the state-issued marriage license, even those of you would have to agree that the marriage itself actually happened in the hearts. It's a spiritual connection first. And in reality, the entire situation, wives and brides consider going to get the marriage license signed as a formality. She's more concerned with the wedding, with the catering, what kind of food, what kind of dress, what kind of music. Is it going to be a destination wedding? Is it going to be a church wedding? Is it going to be a small, ceremony? Is it going to be a big production? Is it going to be just real intimate with just our closest family? All of that. She considers going down to the courthouse and signing that marriage license as a mere formality. And like I said, she's more, because her most memorable time, if she had a beautiful wedding, her most memorable time is not the hour they spent headed down to the courthouse to sign that paper. Her most memorable time was crying as she walked down the aisle to her husband and looking at her family members and the music that was playing and he looked handsome in his tux, and that's what she remembered. That's what everybody take a picture of. Ain't nobody really all just taking a picture of that marriage license. They taking a picture of the people and the event. I'm going to take a commercial break and then we'll be back. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
When I'm training for professional competitions, men and women always ask me for advice. To women, I say push yourself harder than you ever have before and go beyond your comfort zone. Focus on your goals. Men, if I am willing to push myself to become Mr. Olympia in 2022, then I only have one thing to say to you. Bring your A game.
Here we go again.
Now, before we continue on, the one thing that we actually have to understand and bring ourselves to understand is that having our unions recognized properly can be done without the state-issued marriage license, because there is a contract. So let's say I get married again. me and Muslim brother X, okay? We want to get married. We design the marriage contract. I sign it, he signed it, the imam signed it, a witness signed it, and all of that good stuff. You realize that we can have that notarized, that we can have lawyers to overlook that. That can become a legal document, like legal can be held up in the court of law document. That is a contract, mine his contract, but it's a marriage between us that specifically excludes the state from having jurisdiction over our life, over our children, over our estate, over our property, over anything. We realize that that's something that we can do. And I'm not making this up. Listen, no shade to anybody who believe in the sovereign, whatever. But that's not what I'm talking about. Some obscure, see, they just don't tell you that. Because they don't want to tell you that. Thank you, Ed Davis, said the state-sanctioned marriage in Christianity is due mainly because preachers declare that they must obey the laws of the land. See, we have to understand why the law is the way that it is as it pertains to not only the marriage, but the family. Because if I'm going back to a point that was made before, we understand that the laws of this land, the laws of this land are rooted in the lost value system. Where or what part of the lost value system is designed to help us? Which part of the lost value system is designed to really help us? Because when we take a look at the outcome, not what they say it's supposed to be about, but when we look at the outcome, when we look at what's going on the ground, we understand that that piece of paper does not offer any stability, and it doesn't secure the marriage more than it would be if you didn't have that license. Again, you do what you want to do. I'm not here to tell people what to do. I'm just giving my perspective. Thank you, Terry Scott, said Kendra, me and Love C over here debating on whether or not you're going to do the thumb dance. All right, bam, 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 bam. You got to hit the like button. Bam, bam. You got to, I do be really owing y'all that thumb dance, though. Real talk. I be owing y'all that thumb dance. So thank you. The outcome of the family court system doesn't care if you're married. They prefer you apart. They prefer the wife split from the husband. They prefer children split from mothers and fathers. They prefer estates strewn out here and there. Thank you, Miss Marisa. Actually, marriages were only documented in churches, etc. So you could check ancestry, because incest, we changed it later on and put restrictions on. The system is the one that benefits from the dissolution of a marriage, from the dissolution of a family. Because we can tell that from the way it's set up when the marriage break, when the family break. The state got their hand in it. Because if the state didn't have their hand in it, child support would go direct. Why we got to go through them? So you mean to tell me two grown people who spent part of their life together and laid down and had kids, now all of a sudden need a county clerk somewhere in some office, some little dingy office, somewhere trying to calculate what kind of money he got to give to her, but the state take about 60% off the top. She getting $5. He getting charged $500 and she getting $5. Where the other $495 go? The incentivizing of the breaking of the family with no fault divorce. No one, you should not, what is no fault divorce? Essentially, no fault divorce means that we two competent, able-minded adults came together with witnesses to create a contract that is legally supposed to be upheld. And you meaning to tell me that with no fault divorce, I get to just back out of a contract with no reason and no consequence? I don't get hit with a breach of contract. They don't do that in business. They don't do that that don't fly in a boardroom. That do not fly in the boardroom. Businessmen, tell me if I'm lying or not. That don't fly in a boardroom. But it'll fly in a family courtroom. If two companies come together or two individuals representing their businesses come together and create a contract of business and say, well, I'm going to do this, you do this, these are the stipulations, we're going to go this long. Thank you again, Norrin. You know, this amount of money going to be spent. And the only way you can break this contract, the only way this contract break, and they put them things in there. This is how you can get out of it. If this don't hit, if that don't work, if this time thing, if this deadline ain't met, if this, parameter is not met, then you or I get to back out of this contract and we are only owe X amount of dollars, or you are only owe X amount of time, or we are only have to have partial. That's how business contracts go. You don't get to just make a contract and then all of a sudden can't nobody call you. All of a sudden can't nobody get in touch with you when it come time for you to fulfill your end of the bargain. Now all of a sudden your business line don't work. Now all of a sudden the 1-800 number to your business is disconnected. That's called fraud. Now I'm gonna sue you. Now I'm gonna sue you for that. Cause there ain't nowhere in the world we had a whole written up contract. The lawyer done signed it. It's got a letterhead on it. I'm taking you to court. And you're gonna give me some type of restitution about that. You are going to answer for that. You cannot just fall off the face of the earth. Thank you, Stio. Said thanks to your channel, my lioness Rena Marie and I are celebrating our first anniversary of watching your live, and for the topic we are team prenup. Yay! Thank you again, Miss Marie. Say it's a divorce, not his fault. You don't get alimony. And thank you, Ed, again. So I should have said obey the laws of the lost value system. But yay to Stio. Congratulations. That's so awesome. So awesome for you guys. And all the best wishes and prayers for your relationship and your marriage. It's so awesome. That is so awesome. So you don't get to just walk off on a contract. Okay? Landlords landlords and tenants have contracts. You know, a landlord don't get to just not be available or have you living in an uninhabitable place and it ain't no repercussions. I can take him to court, him or her. You didn't have me living in this roach motel. You know what I'm saying? It just done went down, down, down. It just done went down, 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 downhill. And he ain't nowhere to be found. The sink is leaking. This is leaking. That done busted. And I can't call him. He is in violation of landlord-tenant law, which is a contract. That's what your lease is. Your lease is a contract. You have certain, responsibilities, and the landlord has certain responsibilities. If any one of you, if you break that lease, that landlord can put you out. If he break his part of the lease, I can move without owing rent and stuff like that. I can break the lease and it'll be legal for me to do that. Why? Because whatever his actions were was the basis of breaking the contract in the first place. But with marriage, there's no fault divorce. Meaning, just walk away. Just walk off. Y'all two came together. You had an entire contract. Y'all done lived some portion of your life together. You done built together. You got a family. You done merged. And either one of you, and it's usually women file for divorce about 80% of the time, and you wonder why. Just walk on down to a lawyer's office. Walk on down to the court office and file the papers for divorce. And no fault divorce means she can just put down that stupid irreconcilable differences. That can be anything. That can be literally anything. You gotta have some fault in a divorce. Like, that don't exist Islamically. You gotta prove something. Because even though men are entrusted with the divorce and he can actually speak a word in your divorce, if he do that, see, this is where the 3 months come in. The divorce is not even final for 90 more days. I don't care what he pronounced. The divorce is not final for 90 days. If he goes somewhere and tell the imam, I talaked her 2 days ago. The first thing the imam gonna do is why? Why did you do that? What was going on in the marriage that put you in a position where you thought this was what you needed to do? Yeah, man, she just wasn't doing what I wanted. Be more specific. Wasn't doing what you wanted. What does that mean? Is she making salat? I've watched imams and scholars ask this line of question. I heard it. Is she making salat? Yeah. Your wife Muslim? Yeah. She wear hijab? Yeah. She raising the kids Muslim? Yeah. Do she work, brother? Yeah. With your permission, she working. You know about it, right? Yeah, yeah. Do she stop you from practicing Islam, or is she not letting the kids practice it, or you got to be specific? What's going on? Thank you, Paris. Man, she just ain't doing what I want. What? Brother, that's not, what do you mean? Not doing what you want, how? Like she didn't cook the dinner you wanted, or what are we talking about? Because the reason he's asking that line of questioning is because he was trying to eliminate the obvious glaring issues that might make a man say, we can't make this work as a relationship. Well, you know what's happening? Like, what's actually happening? Like, you got to tell me what actually happened in this marriage. You can't just say. And if that brother couldn't figure out how to say what was really happening in that marriage, I've heard scholars be like, go back to your wife. Go back and reconcile with your wife. Come get some counseling. Y'all need to come get some marriage counseling. Go back to your wife. Because if you telling me she's still Muslim, she make all her salat, she wearing her hijab, she raising your kids the way you want her to do it, she keeping the house the way you want her to do it. So this mean is minor then. Go back. Y'all got kids? Go back. You breaking a family for what? What you gonna break the family for? And then he'll get a whole lecture about overlook her shortcomings. Everybody's got shortcomings, brother. You know what I'm saying? As long as she's, you know what I'm saying, worship Allah, as long as blah, 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 as long as this is going on, then you need to have sabr, patience, sabr with your wife. Sabr with your wife. Sometimes our wives make us angry. It's okay. She's a woman. She a woman. She gonna make you angry. It's okay. Women are not like the men. She got emotional. It's okay. Because Islam is real big on not breaking that family up. But the point is that there's no such thing as no fault. You don't just get to walk off. You don't just get to do that for. That's not how the Prophet, peace be upon him, did it. That's not how the Sahaba, radiallahu anhu, that's not how they did things. That's not how they conducted their families at all. It's not disposable. But when you get no fault, you tell people they can just walk off and there's no consequence for walking off. And who started walking off? Women. And why did women feel comfortable walking off? Because she knows she's going to be able to tap the court for child support. She knows she's going to be able to tap the court for alimony. She knows that she can walk away and ain't nobody going to say nothing. The responsibility ain't going to be on her. She not going to be accountable. And ain't nobody going to say nothing. Everybody's going to assume that she walked off because the man was doing something to her. And she had to leave. When you got these same women having divorce parties like they do baby showers, talking about I'm free. Free from what? This is why, see, now I'm going into another thing, but I think I got to. This is why there's such an expansion on the concept and the meaning of the word abuse. So abuse used to be very clear. There was physical abuse. There were things like drug and alcohol abuse that could that can give rise to physical abuses. Psychological abuses. The kind that you have to go to therapy and they might be like, yeah, you got some PTSD from that one. Now, the concept and the meaning of the word abuse extends to things like financial abuse, where he pay for everything. She can say, well, he was controlling because he wanted to dictate where the kids could go to school or not, and where they couldn't go to school. He didn't want them to go to that school. He wanted them to go to that school. And he forced me to not enroll them in this school and to enroll them in that school. And I didn't want to do that. And the kids didn't like it either. So now we have this expansion. He was asking for sex too much. And I count that as sexual abuse because he was pressuring me and coercing me into having relations with him. And this is why they, you know what I'm saying, started talking about it was marital rape and stuff like that. That a man asking, requesting, whatever, sex, and she didn't want to do it, that's great. This is where we at with it in society. This is what we have. These are the fruits of the lost value system when it comes to how they involve themselves in family and marriage. Because they don't involve themselves in order to add stability to the family. They don't involve themselves or encourage you to involve them because they're trying to give everybody and make sure that the rights are observed and make sure that things are going the way that you need them to go in the marriage to keep the marriage together. It creates threats and it creates a animosity between the people. They're supposed to be married. It creates the animosity between them. You're a threat. No, you're a threat. No, you're a threat. No, you're a threat. You gonna do me wrong. No, you gonna do me wrong. So now I gotta protect everything. Because the person that I felt emotionally and spiritually connected to, I now cannot trust because the state is involved and gives us both a gun where we gotta try to play Russian roulette with each other. And whoever is unlucky enough to find the chamber with the bullet in it just get their head blowed off. I got a state, I got money, now I got to protect it from my family. The very people that it's supposed to go to in case of death. Then they dangle stuff in your face. You ain't going to be able to, you know what I'm saying, go to the hospital and see about your loved one if you not married, which is lies. I'm going to tell you how I know it's lies. For 15 years of a 20-year marriage, my husband was in and out of the hospital. Not one time, not one single solitary time did I have to produce proof that we were married. Not one doctor, not one nurse, not one hospital admin, nobody. Nobody questioned me. When I came in and said I'm his wife, when he said that's my wife, they believed it because I was his wife. Nobody said, well, go get your marriage license or we ain't going to let you up to see him. When he passed away, guess who didn't have a problem interring his body? I called up and told him we ain't doing no autopsy or none of that. He passed away in the house. The paramedics came, called the time of death. And they didn't even take him to the coroner's office. They're like, you his wife? I said, mm-hmm. He said, oh, well, he died with you. Natural causes, obviously. We don't have to take him to the medical examiner's office unless you ain't got nowhere to put him. Do you have a funeral home that you can call right now? Yeah. Okay. And they'll come get the body. Okay. And they had me sign that paper that said that, and they left. And I called the funeral home. Not one time. Did I ever have an issue, even at his death, dealing with his body? I got his death certificate. And I buried him. And that was it. That was it. And I'm saying that to, you know what I mean? That's the dangle. Oh, well, you ain't going to be able to do this. You ain't going to be able to do that in a time of emergency. Yes, you will. Because the hospital staff is not about to ask you to produce no marriage license. If you come in there and say, I'm the husband, I'm the wife, and especially if the person you trying to come see agree to that, they going to let you the husband and the wife. I have signed for operations. He has been incapacitated. And who had to speak for him? Who had to sign when he couldn't sign? My whole point of even having this discussion in the first place isn't to convince nobody whether or not you should get a marriage license or not issued by the state. That's your business. I'm not even up here to justify the fact that I didn't do it, because I would not do it again. If it's got to be in the United States of America, I'm not getting married to the state. But the point is that we have to take a critical look at how this plays into our relationships, because it is my perspective through observation that the involvement with the state actually encourages us to fall out with each other and divorce each other and split our families up. Because there's an incentive to do that. There's an incentive to say, well, we ain't got to stay together. That's the real issue. There's that this don't gotta be forever. You can always X out of this. This can always be temporary. This can always be dissolved. You can always just turn your back on this. There's no more a sense of we in this until somebody die. We in this until somebody draw their last breath. That's how long we gonna be in it. Because I married you and you married me until death do us part. That's why the vows say richer, poorer, sickness, health, because all of that stuff, what it's trying to tell you is that life happened to you. The bliss you feel today might not be the bliss you feel 5 years from now, but is it going to be a reason to let your family go? Is it going to be a reason to let all of these pieces fall apart so your children don't have two parents in the home? It encourages that selfish way of thinking about things. Thank you, Decent. It encourages always just think about yourself. Always have one foot out the door. Always have, an ace up your sleeve. Always have something. Because you can't actually trust the person you about to get married to. Because they can always do you wrong. 9 times out of 10, they gonna do you wrong. Yeah, y'all cool now. But who's to say he ain't gonna cheat? Who's to say he ain't just gonna, for no reason, stop taking care of you and the kids? Who's to say? So you can always get out. You can always just leave him. If you don't like the way he talked to you today, don't work it out. Don't go to marriage counseling. Don't try to communicate with him. Don't try to resolve the issue. No issue resolution. Just head down to the courthouse, girl. Ain't nobody got time for him. Ain't nobody got time for him, girl. Ain't nobody got time for him. He talked to you crazy that one time and you wasn't feeling it. Girl, just leave him. It encourages us to not have no heart involved, our emotions actually involved. Thank you, Miss Lou Casey, for co-sponsoring. Thank you, beloved. Don't really love. Don't really put your whole heart into this, because he's gonna hurt you. And this is where you get that cold-heartedness from a bunch of women. Because it really shouldn't be that easy to dissolve your family. From an emotional standpoint, it shouldn't be that easy. I was crumbling every time I thought about not having my husband. I would just crumble down at the thought of it. I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't fathom or understand. I couldn't empathize with the women who would just roll down and end the marriage. Like, what is you doing? So it's just over? You ain't gonna talk about it or nothing? Now, I ain't saying it ain't never no such thing as a marriage truly being over, because sometimes it is. But at 80%, of the time, it's irretrievable. Black Lives Matter think they irretrievable too, but they not. Y'all like that segue, didn't y'all? I have a petition in place against the Black Lives Matter organization because they stole the bag. They broke a contract between themselves and the black community by saying we were going to stick up for y'all, we're going to talk for y'all, we're going to represent y'all to the rest of the nation and the rest of the world, and all we need is a little bit of monetary help to do that. That money poured in to the tune of 90 million plus, and then as soon as they got them dollar signs in their eyes, they went and bought houses in the whitest places that they could. So the petition is there to help draw attention to this fact and hold them accountable. So we're over 4,000, which is got me ecstatic. I'm loving the fact that this continues to pick up steam. So the link to it is in the chat room, and it is also in the description box as well. Please sign the petition. Please share it. Contribute to it if you can. And also, just food for thought. Think about what I was talking about, but you need your mental focus to think about what we was talking about today. And to improve your mental focus, you need your A game, your A game, your A game, because A game is the #1 overall health benefit for men, okay? It supports and improves his vitality, his energy, his strength, and his libido. And it is so potent, you only take it once every 72 hours with lots of water, okay, in order to start improving your overall health. And this is just for men. So fellas, please don't hesitate. Ladies, don't hesitate to get it for your husbands. The way in which you become part of the A Game family is by clicking the link at the top of the chat at agameherbal.com. And don't forget your 10% discount using the code Kendra10. I want to thank everyone for their generous contribution through Super Chat, through Cash App, and through PayPal. Also for everyone's likes and attendance. And last but not least, I want to thank my support team, without which I cannot bring you this content. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel, by clicking the description box and the link for A Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys